And welcome to Fresh and Local live from the Farmers Market. I'm your host, Catherine Lenneberg, along with Jason Karras. We're so happy to have you with us today on our live program from the Farmers Market. Not only are we going to tell you all about the Farmers Market, but we're going to go behind the scenes so you can meet some of the people who make it happen each week.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here and be a part of my very first local live production on QCTV. We do have a great show in store for you. We're going to start out with our very own local Twin Cities cookbook author, Tricia Cornell, who wrote this amazing little cookbook, Minnesota Farmers Market Cookbook. It is a guide to selecting and preparing the best local produce with seasonal recipes from local chefs and local farmers.
Very good. We're looking forward to meeting Tricia, and you're also going to meet Barb Brower, and she is a dietitian with Alina, and she is going to tell us why we should eat healthy and why we should eat local.
And we're going to have a mouth-watering cooking demonstration today for you. Our QCTV's very own Matt and Sarah will be selecting something that they've created and teaching us how to make it as well.
And a lot of people buy beautiful bouquets at the farmers market, and you take them home and you maybe aren't sure what to do exactly with that big beautiful bouquet. Well, in Fleur de Lynn, florist extraordinaire Lynn Berger is here, and she's going to tell us some really groovy things we can do with those flowers. We're looking forward to that.
Plus, we're going to meet some interesting people from 4-H, some very wonderful young people, and they're the future of farming. We're also going to take a look at a groundbreaking grassroots co-op in downtown Anoka, and we're also going to take a tour of Lone Wolf Greenhouse, which was an eye-opening experience for us all.
Very good. All that and more is coming up next on Fresh and Local Live. Local. We are live from the Farmers Market today, and QCTV is so pleased to welcome Tricia Cornell. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a gorgeous day for a farmer's market.
It is a gorgeous day for a farmer's market. Now, Tricia has written this book called The Farmer's Market Cookbook, and what can people expect from this cookbook?
Well, we walk you through just about everything you can find at a Minnesota farmer's market. It's arranged alphabetically so that you can experience it the way you experience the farmer's market. You can read it start to finish if you are somebody who walks around the farmer's market and sees the whole thing. You can dive in and just get, green beans if you want green beans, and or you can kind of pick it up and see what inspires you.
And what was your inspiration for writing this cookbook?
I've been a farmer's market shopper the whole time I've lived in Minnesota. And I've watched them for the past 15 years grow and expand. It's become a movement of markets that have come out to towns like Champlin and are really reaching beyond the core of the metro area and out and further into Minnesota. It's been great to watch.
And why do you think we've had that local movement?
I think we're ready to start cooking at home again. We're ready to start enjoying the fresh flavors and vegetables that taste like they're really supposed to taste like. And we're getting a little more adventurous in the kitchen. I think we're just ready to start eating good food.
Now, this is your second cookbook, correct?
It is. My first cookbook was called Eat More Vegetables.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Eat More Vegetables was inspired by my family's CSA, which is a community-supported agriculture, a farm share. So we got a box of vegetables from a farmer, a particular farmer, every single week. And that one's arranged chronologically so that you can decide, so you can follow the seasons. Minnesota has very particular seasons. There's the season of snap peas, there's the season of tomatoes, there's the season of squashes, and if you eat in a way that follows those seasons, things taste a little better.
Talk a little bit about a CSA for people who don't know exactly what that is and how it works.
It's a terrific way to get vegetables into your house because you won't eat it if it's not in your fridge. So this way you ensure that there are vegetables in your fridge. You find a farmer, somebody you trust and somebody you want to get to know, and who sells in a CSA share, and then you write that farmer a check at the beginning of the season, and then for 16 or 18 weeks, every week, usually it's a Thursday or a Friday because farmers want to help you get ready for the weekend, to cook on the weekend. And you pick up a big box of vegetables. Usually it's a half bushel of vegetables. That's pretty standard farm share. Whatever's in season.
What were some of your family's favorite recipes from that cookbook?
Oh, from that cookbook, we love the lettuce cups. My kids were younger when I was writing that one, so lettuce cups are a great choice for kids because they fill them by themselves. They can put in what they want to put in. My kids love the green beans, the pan-fried green beans from that cookbook. What else? I have a squash chili that I make for, if you come to a potluck anywhere that I will be, there will be squash chili. I always make that one.
What's a secret for getting kids to eat vegetables?
You know, I think there isn't so much a secret as it takes patience. You put them on the table, then you put them on your plate. I think a lot of us grown-ups want kids to eat vegetables when we're not eating our own vegetables. So if kids see them on the table and they see you eating them and enjoying them, even if they don't eat them in that particular dinner, eventually they will start to enjoy them. You also want to make sure they taste good. Sometimes vegetables, that's the last thing you cook. You plan the meat, you plan the starch, and then you're like, oh yeah, I need some broccoli too, and you just steam it. It doesn't taste very good. So
how can you make it taste good? What are some tips?
Make sure you salt it enough. We actually don't salt our food enough at home. We eat processed food with a ton of salt in it, and then for some reason when we cook at home, we don't put quite enough salt in it. If salt isn't your thing, put other spices in there. Put some oregano, some fresh herbs in there. You can roast things and pan fry them and get some brown flavor in there. We steam too many of our vegetables, and they just don't taste good that way. So make sure.
Yeah, and
a little butter helps too.
I was going to say, what else can you use instead of butter if you don't want to eat too much butter?
If you don't want to eat too much butter, use less butter. Butter is good.
Butter is good.
Invest in a really good bottle of olive oil. I keep 2 bottles at home. I keep one that's just regular old olive oil, and that's what I use for cooking. And then I have a bottle of really nice olive oil that tastes so good you practically want to drink it. And you don't cook with that, you finish foods with it. And everything tastes better with just a tiny drizzle of really high quality olive oil on it.
Now talk about your cookbook a little bit more and what kind of experience it was to write it, and who did you get to meet? Who were some of the favorite chefs that you got to meet?
You know, the fun thing about this cookbook is that not all of the recipes are my recipes. I reached out to farmers markets and the people who organize them and the people who sell at them. And I reached out to chefs who are known for shopping locally and cooking local produce, and I asked them to contribute their favorite recipes. And so we got recipes from Stephen Brown, who runs Tilia in Southwest Minneapolis, and from Lenny Russo of Heartland in St. Paul, and I'm going to keep forgetting, and then from ordinary growers, you know, somebody who grows blueberries in southern Minnesota, and somebody who grows carrots in northern Minnesota. And these are recipes created by the people who actually grow your food or really know the food well. And it also means there's a really wide range. So some of the recipes from Lenny Russo and Stephen Brown they're fairly complicated. These are recipes that you might save for company, and some of them are very, very simple. A very simple cucumber salad. There's a nice range.
Mm-hmm. And what tips do you have for people who aren't used to shopping at farmers markets? Should they have a list? Should they have a recipe in mind before they come, or should they just wander around? What's your philosophy?
You know what? I'm a list maker. I come with a list. I go to the grocery store with a list. I go to the farmer's market with a list. I know that doesn't work for everybody because they don't know what to expect. They're not quite sure they're going to find exactly what they want. I recommend walking around the whole market. If it's a little market, if it's a big market, walk around the whole market before you buy a single thing. And then you'll start getting ideas. You'll see a lot of, right now, they've got these little tiny Thai eggplants. Some of them are very pale, some of them are kind of stripy purple. You might see a lot of those and you might think, well, what can I do with those? Turns out you can eat them raw, actually, or you can quickly pan fry them. And so start getting inspired by maybe the unusual things that you're seeing, and definitely stop and ask. Say, you might see, right now you see these yard-long beans. They're called long beans, and they're green beans, but they're a foot to 3 feet long. Stop and ask the seller, hey, how do you cook those? What do you like to do with those? And they grow them, so they cook them and they eat them.
What kind of conversations have you had in your life at the farmers market?
I love talking with farmers at the farmers market. They're some of the most talkative people I know, with the caveat that if there's a big crowd or a long line, be respectful. But if there isn't, you can have a chat about how they got into selling, and how they got into farming, and what their favorite things are. They'll probably also tell you about some of the difficulties of farming right now. We have gorgeous weather now. Of course, we had a very wet beginning of the season, so everything got off to kind of a late start, and farmers will talk to you about that. They love to talk.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. Now, if people want to get your cookbook, how can they find it?
Well, you can buy it online wherever you are used to buying books online, but definitely look around at local bookshops and look at places like Bibelo and Patina and your co-op. They will have it as well.
Very good. And are you going to write another cookbook?
I hope so. I have a couple of ideas. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. All right, now we are going to take a look at, we're going to go to a farm right now, and we're going to visit Larry Gollier. And we had a chance, Noah Johnson and I got to go out to his farm, and he used to be a teacher, and he taught us a lot about growing vegetables, and we are going to take a look at that right now.
Our operation, we've been in business for close to 30 years now as a full-blown business. It started off just basically growing fuchsias because I fell in love with those, and the only way I could grow those was in a greenhouse. I had such bad luck outside of it. But since then, I've fallen in love with a lot of plants. It's such a thrill to be able to grow the new ones and be able to offer those to folks and help them to grow better themselves.
Larry makes greenhouse farming look easy, but like with most things, that isn't necessarily the case. Larry told us about some of the challenges he faces on a regular basis.
When we go to farmer market, this is called specialty crop farming. There are no subsidies. I personally don't know of anybody making a huge amount of money doing it. There has to be at the bottom line a passion to get fresh food to people. And I've yet to meet a farmer that isn't tired this time of year. We fight the weather constantly. This spring has been one of the worst I've seen. For the amount of water we've had is a blessing in some areas, but for those of us that farm, it's really put an extra burden. I think you're going to find some things that you're used to seeing in the middle of July are going to be a bit late, or there won't be as much. So, I want to prepare people to come and expect the freshness that they've always seen. But some of these crops are going to be a little bit later, and there won't be as much as we've had in the past.
Well, we sure know Larry works hard. We got a tour of his greenhouses to see just how the hard work pays off.
Welcome to our main greenhouse. This is where everything starts. Our first crop in here would obviously be the flowers. It starts March 1st. We get our baby plants in, and I've got some seedlings already started by then. At that time, every one of these benches up on top will hold 8 to 10 pots or baskets. Up above in each walkway, so when they're watered, they spill down on the walkway rather than on the baby plants, will be 8 to 10 baskets as well. This is, on outward appearance, is a greenhouse, but it's not. There are no heaters in here. The technical name for this structure is a high tunnel. A high tunnel has no heat and was originally designed to be put along with farm fields for the farmers to supplement their income. This greenhouse starts off with contract growing of vegetables, and this one's a very small greenhouse, and because of that I have to support these peppers that are grown in a bag a little different. We do this structure on top. They come up through this fencing, and that holds them upright so that when I pick, I'm not breaking anything. I'd like to share with you our first tomato.
Now that we know where the food comes from, we asked Larry why he thinks it's so important to eat locally.
Well, I think it's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, the money that you're spending at these markets stays there in that vicinity. Here locally, we support just about every group that we can, from churches and missionary work to the athletic teams. The second thing I think that's most important for each family is that food is fresh. It's handled only once by that farmer. When they pick that, they bring it in. Most of us are very much aware of how quickly food deteriorates. We get it picked the day of the market or the day before, and we get it right into a cooler. We want that to be as fresh as possible. You'll notice a difference in the taste. I'm really confident about that.
Greenhouse farming may not be easy, but if at the end of the day you love it, then I think it's worth it. Larry sure feels the same way.
Well, I appreciate the customers that we've had at Champlin. They're fun people to meet and greet, and there's times when we'll sit on the back of the tailgate and just chat with some people because they become family to you. And we really appreciate that.
Hi, and welcome to Food with Roots. This is QCTV's cooking segment that we're here doing live at the Champlin Farmers Market. With me today is QCTV's Sarah Onerheim, and today she's going to show us an easy to make, fresh recipe that you can find all the ingredients here at the Farmers Market and that you can make at home. Sarah, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, so today what is it that we're going to be cooking?
We are going to cook a tomato crostini with a whipped feta. It's delicious.
Sounds great. And one of the great things about this recipe is that all these things, the ingredients that are in this, can be found just about here at the farmer's market, right?
And actually, two of the ingredients were found here at this market. The tomatoes from Beck's, and the bread was from Great Harvest Company, which is just behind us.
And both of those are behind, both of those are behind us now. Now, one of the great concepts about this fresh ingredients that we can all find here is that they are all what a lot of people are referring to today as farm to table. Can you talk a little bit about farm to table and why it's so important to eat that way for our daily lives?
Yes, actually I was raised farm to table. I didn't realize it was eating local and fresh, but my parents and my grandparents both grew or purchased locally a lot of our produce, and so our food was mainstay from farm to table. And then when I got married, at the age of 41, my big Norwegian husband had a heart attack.
The big Norwegian, huh?
The
Okay.
big Norwegian.
All right.
And so eating healthy and local and fresh became a priority for our family.
For his health and the rest of the
Yes,
families as well.
absolutely.
That's great. Now, so you mentioned earlier what we're going to be making. Can you tell us a little bit about what goes into it?
Sure. Actually, I prepared the whipped feta.
Okay.
The feta is actually with 6 ounces of feta, a third cup of olive oil, extra virgin, and a little lemon juice, and I whirred it up in a food processor with a little salt and pepper.
And that looks beautiful over there. Okay, so should we probably go ahead and get started here?
Yes, and I would like you to quarter those cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
I've started a few for you, so you
Okay.
don't have so many.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to do this, and if I can accomplish this without cutting off one of my fingers, then I think we've already done something good today.
Okay. Well, and meanwhile, I'm going to mince 2 cloves of garlic
Okay.
for the vinaigrette
Okay.
in my handy dandy mincer. And Matt, tell us why you eat local and fresh.
I eat local and fresh. Well, it's important to me because one of the things that I noticed whenever I had my children is that a lot of the products that I was buying when I was buying a lot of the pre-prepared foods and ready and easy made foods was there was a lot of ingredients that I kept seeing repeated, and a lot of things like high fructose corn syrup and a lot of names that I couldn't even pronounce. And if I can't pronounce it, it starts to make me wonder a little bit about if it is going to be good for my children. A couple of documentaries later and I'm almost convinced that it's not. So it's very important to me and my family to try to cook as much as we can from fresh ingredients.
And next to the 2 cloves of garlic, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of minced shallot.
Okay.
And I pre-mince those.
Pre-minced
And-
shallots, okay.
Yeah, and then 2 tablespoons of balsamic or red wine vinegar. Either or works beautifully.
Now, if you're using the red wine, is that something that you can put a little in the ingredients and then have a little bit for yourself right out of the bottle, or no?
Well, that's a little different.
Okay.
And hopefully your red wine doesn't taste like vinegar. So,
Okay.
And then we're going to add a 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And we're going to whisk that up.
Whisk that up, okay?
Okay, and then we're going to season it with salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper, all right, easy enough.
Alrighty.
Now, how many of these am I doing here? Because I know I'm moving slow.
I think that'll be plenty. And
Okay.
you can drop them in.
Okay. And now, mine don't look quite as good as the ones that you had already done. Is that going to be okay?
That's going to be perfect.
All right. So, and if you can see these right here, these are the quartered, did you say cherry tomatoes?
Yes,
All
quartered
right.
cherry
And they
tomatoes,
smell-
about 2 pounds.
And they smell fresh and delicious. It looks great too. Okay.
And next we're going to just apply the vinaigrette right over to the cherry tomatoes. Earlier you do this, actually the better it is flavor-wise. And in addition to that, we're going to mix this up for you. And if I could have you actually put a little of the whipped feta on top of the crostini. Now the crostini is just a baguette that I've sliced diagonally, put it on the grill, olive oil on little sides, and a little salt and pepper, and grilled it off. And so it comes off beautifully off the grill. You can also do it in your oven at a 400-degree temp.
See that there?
Thank you.
Yeah, and that looks beautiful too.
And if I could have you put a little on the whipped feta.
Absolutely. And I wish that you could smell this concoction that you've got over here because it smells so good. And does it matter where I'm putting these, or where would you like those?
That'd be fine.
Okay. All right.
And then we're going to top each slice with a little of the tomato vinaigrette. And our finishing touches, we're going to julienne or chiffonade some basil leaves.
So you just used two $100 words there, julienne and chiffonade. So I don't even know if I'm pronouncing those correctly. So what does that exactly mean for our audiences at home?
Well, basically, we're going to stack some basil leaves and roll them like a cigar.
Okay.
And I haven't rolled a cigar before, but it's kind of the same concept.
Same concept, okay.
Okay, and if I could have you pick a few of those.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And this is fresh basil that you grew at home, is that
Yes,
right?
that is correct, out of my garden.
And once again, the fragrance in these things is just absolutely amazing. You don't get this stuff this smell from the dried stuff that you buy at the store.
No, and it's totally fresh.
Now, how many should I get here?
About 8 leaves would be fine.
8 leaves, all right.
That would be good.
Okay. All right. I need one more.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
Does
we're
that
going to
work for
roll
you?
the leaves
Roll them up, okay.
in a tight little bundle,
Okay.
and then you just simply slice
Oh, look at that.
and you make little tiny pieces of basil that way.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit of this on this one.
Very good. And then to finish it off, you're just going to drizzle a little of the basil on top.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And I got some of that. And if you wouldn't mind, Matt, just to I toasted pine nuts just in a dry pan on top of the stove. Just a couple minutes. They'll burn fast, so watch them.
Now, as far as the pine nuts, where would you find those as well?
Well, actually, any grocery store now carries pine nuts, so they're very affordable.
Easy to find, huh?
Easy to find.
Perfect, perfect. Does that look okay?
That looks awesome.
I'm not a pro, so I'm just trying to
looks awesome.
Okay, okay. And then anything else that we can do here?
I think that the recipe is complete. You can find it on our website at QCTV.org.
Very good. All right, should we try them a little bit?
Sure, let's give them a taste.
Let's give them a taste. All right.
Delicious.
That's absolutely delicious. Once again, this is a fresh, easy to make recipe. You can make it home. You can find all the ingredients here live at the farmer's market, and if not there, then certainly your local grocer. Once again, this is something that you can find. The ingredients are going to be up on the QCTV website at QCTV.org. Sarah, thanks again for being with us today. Speaking of wonderful things to eat, here QCTV's own Catherine Linneberg now is going to talk to you a little bit about one of her favorite places to eat.
You know, a co-op seems like a regular grocery store where you buy healthy food, but it's really what goes on behind the scene at a co-op like this that makes it very different. We had an opportunity to talk with General Manager Sarah Super for details.
Well, co-op is a place where it's member-owned and where the community comes together and supports local farmers, local businesses, and we really work together to encourage that local economy. Well, when you walk into our co-op, it's a very friendly group of people. People love to come to work. They love to be there. They love to shop there. It's very quaint. Everybody knows everybody. It's got a special touch that you just can't get at a regular grocery store.
I love produce. It's my garden. And I like to have a garden all year long, and so being a produce manager lets me do that. Also like to eat healthy. I like to help people find good things to eat. I love to talk about cooking with people, and that's a really big part of working in the produce department. If you are supporting these local farmers or these farmers that make a commitment to sustainability, then not only are you eating something that's raised healthy, therefore making you more healthy, but you're helping the planet and the environment.
I really appreciate food that is grown in sustainable ways. I think it's important that we take care of our environment, and everything we have here is part of that.
Well, we're very particular about making sure that our food is clean, that it comes from good sources. Many times it's from our local farmers. At the same time, there is that comfort in our food as well. It's making healthy food, comfort food, but there also is a lot of options for people with different dietary needs. If you're gluten-free, if you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, whatever the need is, we've got it all at our deli.
And I'm doing a number of things today. The rhubarb cake with fresh whipped topping. And then I made thumbprint cookies this morning with homemade rhubarb filling, and this one is a homemade cherry filling. They're delicious.
We may be a smaller store, but we really work hard to take care of all the needs of our shoppers. It surprises people when they walk in through our doors how much we really do carry. We've got a full line of local meats. We've got a full produce department that covers everything you would need. Between our deli and full grocery store, we really have it all. Most people when they shop find that they can make it a one-stop shop.
So consider stopping by the Grassroots Co-op and checking it out for a delicious, healthy, and tasty meal.
Thank you for being with us here today, Barb. First of all, tell us about your job and what do you do?
Well, I have kind of what sounds like a complicated job, but it's a very interesting job. I'm an integrative nutritionist and an integrative health and wellness coach for the Penny George Institute for Health and Healing, which is part of Alina. And we just recently opened up a brand new clinic at West Health, which is on 494 and 55.
Neat. Good for you. What does a integrative nutritionist do, or what does that entail?
What I do is I look at a person's individual needs. We sit down and we talk about what's best for them. When's the last time they felt good? What foods work for them, what don't?
Okay. And give us some nutrition basics. How should we eat, and how does food at a farmer's market help us eat well?
Well, I think the food basics have changed a lot over the years. I've done this for a long time, and the way I preach now is nothing like what I learned in school way back when. We're pushing more towards whole foods, less processed foods, and that's where and doing cooking, because a lot of people don't know how to cook. So that's where a farmer's market is great. You look at all the colors, you look at all the fresh produce, and people can come and find out. They can purchase it, they know where it was grown. It hasn't sat in a truck for a long time. The nutritional value is much better. It's a fantastic place to start.
Excellent, thank you. What about weight management? We see so many overweight people these days. Why is it important for our health to lose weight?
Well, there's a big cultural push to be as thin as possible, and thin is not necessarily better. And overweight isn't necessarily bad if you're also very active and you're eating very well. It depends on the degree that a person may be overweight. Now, we have some people that are very obese nowadays, and for them and people that are overweight a long time and gain maybe 5 to 10 pounds a year, you know, in 5 to 10 years, that adds up.
Okay, that does make sense. And what food should we eat to lose weight?
So the foods that are best to eat to lose weight and to help get that obesity under control, because the obesity will lend itself to more heart disease, diabetes, strokes, even cancers and high blood pressure. So we're looking at trying to control healthcare costs and have people be healthier so they have energy to enjoy their life.
So preventative before having to
definitely.
Get a doctor.
So that's where the food enters in. So food can be from the fruits and the vegetables, and if you look at all the different colors that are here, they all have different nutritional values, and they all provide different phytochemicals and nutrients to your body. And most people don't realize that a tomato is going to provide something different than a cucumber, so to speak. And it's to learn all of those things. So there is no one food that's the superfood. And every time you turn on Google or something, it's going to give you new superfoods.
Right.
So you have to stay on your toes and kind of pay attention to what the newest thing is.
Like acai or acai berry?
Yes, acai berry is one of the ones.
Super, okay.
Chased berry is another one.
Pomegranate?
Pomegranate. There's some diehards like avocados we know are great.
Cool.
Fall along those categories. Those are the avocados, the olive oils. The olives are the healthy fats that we actually need to eat a lot more of.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. What about exercise and becoming more active? Any tips for us?
So it can be, if you're coming to the farmer's market, park as far away as possible. A lot of times people wait in line to get the closest parking place, but don't be afraid of walking.
That makes sense.
And walking a little ways is what gets your body moving.
Right.
We don't realize how few steps we take in some days.
During the day,
And if a person lives in a smaller apartment, they may not even get 1,000 steps a day.
Wow.
And yet the recommendation is 10,000
Right.
steps
I was gonna
a day.
say it's up there. Yeah.
So one of the ways to improve your exercise is to just get a pedometer, or some people like a gadget, so they'll get the Fitbit or the Jawbone or one of those flex things that you can wear around your wrist. That'll monitor all sorts of things.
Do you have one? Do you wear one?
I wear a Fitbit sometimes.
Cool.
Yep, and it's really you can't lie to it. You know, you can lie to yourself at the end of the day and say,
that number's gonna be there.
I got a lot of exercise today. And yet if you look at the number and it's like 1,200, are you kidding me?
Right.
You know, 2,000 is about a mile. It's like, I worked really hard, I'm exhausted mind-wise, but I haven't burned up any calories.
Okay, that digital number is not going to lie to you at the end of the day.
Right, and then to gradually add things you enjoy doing. Have it be fun. Exercise shouldn't be a drag.
That's what I try to do outside.
And again, there's just, like for weight and diet, where one size doesn't fit all, one exercise doesn't fit all either.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think people don't realize the importance of cooking food. And with all of the cooking shows that are on TV nowadays, sometimes we think we have to be a gourmet cook in order to cook. And I find people don't know how to cook, so they just don't, or they don't like it. So I encourage people to learn one basic technique. Maybe it's sauteing something and being able to add ingredients and to make it a multi-purpose meal with one technique.
Even if it's for yourself.
Even if it's for yourself. Because I know I cook for myself.
I hear that a lot,
And it's real easy to go to quick, fast things that aren't really healthy. You know, make nachos, throw some vegetables on it, and equate that to health. But it may not be what's best for you. So you have to look at experimenting, and you don't have to cook every day. Or if you do, if you're in a busy family and you need to eat a processed meal or whatever, because that's
time is short.
Then you add fruits and vegetables to it. You complement the meal. And I think the other thing that's so important that people don't realize are portion sizes. We eat portions that are way too much.
Right, that makes sense. Excellent. Thank you for being with us here today, Barb. It was a pleasure meeting you.
You're welcome.
And now we're going to tell you about an organization called 4-H. It's been around for a very long time, and they're still very relevant today. QCTV's Catherine and Corey had a chance to meet some folks at the local Anoka County Fair. Let's take a look.
Getting ready for our show that's going to start at 10 o'clock. We're making sure our birds are clean, that they have food and water, and that we're ready with our knowledge for whatever the judge may ask us.
The judges will be looking for, especially, is a clean white coat, because especially if it's dirty, that's points off, and black spots are immediate disqualification. So they need to be all white and very clean.
I love to do this because of the networking and all the people that I get to meet, all of the new experiences that I wouldn't normally get if I weren't in this. 4-H is a youth hands-on learning experience that goes from kindergarten through 1 year post-high school, and you get to meet people, you get to learn how to public speak, which is one of the biggest parts of 4-H, and you just get to grow as a person and gain new experiences and friendships that'll last a lifetime.
I just find joy in just kind of being a country person. Showing chickens just kind of adds to that feeling and, accomplishment of just being a chicken shower. I have won a few Grand Champion ribbons. I have gone to the Isanti Fair a few years. But yeah, I just really like showing birds. It's a nice competition and combining competition with, just rural society.
As a youth, I was in 4-H and enjoyed showing animals then, and then we got our kids involved, and for our circumstances we started with chickens and for the size of animals we could have, and then we just got involved with the poultry committee and to help better the show.
If you went and asked 10 different people what 4-H means and define 4-H, you'd get 10 totally different answers. I think myself, a lot of it ends up being it's a learning experience that is not structured as in with like a school type situation, and it comes from a lot of different people. It's learning by doing. A lot of different things go on. Like our 4-H club goes out to a family camp. We're lucky Anoka County has a camp called Camp Sally out towards Wyoming, Minnesota. And we all have different, we put up different activities for the youth. One would be a woodworking project, one would be a sewing project, one's cooking. We do different things to get the kids involved. And it's many different parents. And a lot of times the parents are like, I can't do that. I don't have the experience. And we're like, that's fine. It's learning by doing. We're going to teach you as well so that when I retire out of 4-H, you can keep the torch going.
Tell me how long you've been in 4-H and why you like it.
I've been in it since last year and I like it because it's really fun.
Well, it's really fun and you get to do a whole bunch of activities. You get to meet lots of people and you have fun with your chickens and it's just lots of bonding.
Tell us how long you've been in 4-H and why you like it.
I just joined this year and I like it because I get to contribute my hobbies into it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a great experience to come and just be involved.
Welcome back to Fresh and Local. We are live from the Farmers Market today on just a beautiful day. It's so much fun. And joining me in our Fleur de Lynn segment is a wonderful florist named Lynn Berger. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so much for being
me.
here today. Flowers are a big part of a lot of our lives. At QCTV, we have flowers all the time, and we just love flowers, and the farmers market is such a great place to get a bouquet. So you buy this beautiful bouquet at the farmers market. What can you do with it? What should you do with it?
Well, the first thing that you should do is to, if you decide you want to keep it in one big bunch, I would just give it a fresh cut.
And what does that do for the flowers?
Opens up the stems, lets the water hydrate the flowers, make it last a lot longer. And normally you would have, a pretty good vessel of water and then just plunk it down in there. It's usually bound together somehow, but you can just drop it in and you have a lovely, beautiful bouquet.
A lovely, beautiful bouquet. Tell us what these flowers are. They're pretty much in season right now, aren't they?
They are very seasonal flowers. Right now we have dahlias, which we've got a couple of different colors of those. We've got some beautiful roses. This is one of my favorite. It's like a natural green. It's just beautiful. And then we have some sedum. A lot of people have sedum just growing in their garden. We have a globe thistle, which is a really fun texture. And then we also have some cottage yarrow right here, and then just finished off with some lovely, beautiful ferns to make it a nice presentation.
Simple and beautiful.
Simple and beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay, now say you're at your house and you buy this. What else could you do with a bouquet like this?
Well, one of my favorite things to do is to buy a beautiful bouquet like that and then take it apart and kind of spread the simple and beautiful all throughout my home. So one of the ways it's easiest to start with that is just to find some small vases. These are just cappuccino cups that I had in my cabinet at home. So what I would do is just take and cut things very short. A lot of times people are hesitant to cut flowers really short, but it's a really easy way to make them look simple and beautiful.
And why are they hesitant? Because they think it came this way and you should leave it this way.
Right. And I think a lot of people think they're going to damage the flowers if they cut it short, but it's really not the case. I mean, it's very easy to work with them when they're a lot shorter. You're gonna have a lot more control and get a better finished look. for what you want. So yeah, so for one example, you can just kind of pack it like that, and then you can just take and use that to place your flowers in. This one you can see I'm kind of starting with a monochromatic look, which I think is simple and beautiful.
And do you like that look, the monochromatic?
I do. I do. I really do. You know, and I think one of the things about breaking up the bouquets is you can really appreciate the different flower forms and textures that are in there that you maybe would miss if you see it all together like that.
And then when you're having dinner too, it's hard to see beyond this when you're having dinner, where if it's low, you can see your dining companions much better.
Exactly. So I mean, something like that, just very simple and beautiful, and you could take a little bit of the fern and you can finish it off, or you could leave it just like that.
Right.
But these can be broken apart as well. And again, it's like, don't be afraid to kind of break things apart and appreciate them for how they look.
And look how pretty
in
that
a different
is.
way.
Exactly. What are some of your favorite flowers besides the green roses? What do you like?
Oh, well, I like anything that has a lot of texture. And I tend to like flowers that are a little bit tighter in form rather than really open blooms. Not to say that I don't appreciate that too. Another example, like this beautiful kale. This is another piece. I mean, you'll see these growing in planters, a lot of gardens this time of the year. But something like that I think is so beautiful, and I really like to highlight that. So for something like that, I might just take and put a few blooms in with it, but to really let it kind of stand on its own.
And this is long lasting as well, isn't it?
They really are long lasting, and oftentimes, you know, you can have them in your planters outside and snip a few, and you know, they'll serve inside as well as outside.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Lynn. How long have you been a florist, and what's your background?
Okay, I have been working in the floral industry for over 20 years. I have an art history, studio art background, so I've done composition is kind of, you know, it's part of floral design, so I feel like it's always just kind of been with me. It's something I like to do.
And what do you think are some of the trends that we're going to see maybe this summer and this fall in terms of flowers and even plants as well?
I would say there's definitely a trend towards the textural pieces like succulents, the more interesting forms. You'll see it in a lot of catalogs. Even people mention, you know, they see things on TV shows that they want to try to mimic for their homes. So it's definitely going to make its mark.
You know, and in so many places, flowers, to me, they're really worth the money. I mean, this bouquet at a farmer's market would not cost a lot, and you would get a lot of enjoyment out of this. That's how I justify buying flowers.
And that's a perfect thing to do, because you really do have to treat yourself. And you know, if you are kind of spreading it out and sharing it amongst all of the rooms in your home, you're really going to appreciate it a lot.
How about trends in colors? Is there any colors that you're seeing that are different?
I would say the more bright, vibrant colors are very popular in a lot of weddings and coming into fall. A lot of people are doing it themselves, you know, with the websites, Pinterest, and a lot of good sources. People really do want to do it themselves. I will say it's a lot of work to do it yourself, and I would definitely have somebody consider if they want to be doing that on their wedding day.
Exactly, yes. And Lynn also has her own business, so if you're interested in having Lynn do your flowers for parties or events, you can get in touch with her at Fleur de Lynn Floral, or Fleur de Lynn Floral Art at gmail.com.
That's true.
And that is correct.
Absolutely.
And what kind of events would you be able to do, Lynn?
Oh, you know, I'd be happy to do nearly anything. Parties, weddings, if you've got a special work event, anything like that.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lynn. These are just beautiful. Look how pretty this is. And we know we're going to get our enjoyment out of this. It's just lovely. I really appreciate you joining me here today. Simple and beautiful and very civilized. Makes your life just fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and now we're going to go back to Jason, and he is going to talk to somebody who's very involved with the farmers market.
Hi, we'd like to welcome Nick Powell, the manager of the ice forum in the city of Champlin, and the guy in charge of the farmers market. Hi, Nick.
Hi,
Thanks
Jason.
for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us about the history of the farmers market. How long has it been around here and how has it changed?
Well, the farmers market's been around since 2004. So back in 2004, it was in the metro area, the markets were getting pretty popular, so we decided to start one here. Excellent. And this would be our 10th year running. Okay, and what are some of the operating guidelines that you use? So we like to have local growers. They have to be from Minnesota. Okay. And then they need to be approved by the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. Okay. So we just and then we really encourage local. Local. Yep. So right from around here, right in our backyard. Cool. Yep. What kinds of vendors come to the farmers market every day, and what kinds of things can people buy? So we get a lot of vendors selling vegetables. We have some different ones selling bread, potatoes, corn, and then we get some other ones that sell Tupperware. Wow. Just different things to bring in. All across the board? All across the board. Okay. What kinds of reactions do you get? Talk a little bit about the special things that go on each week here. So each week we try to put on an event. We host Seniors Day. Okay. We try to get the seniors out and enjoy the market. We host Kids Day. We have a free bottled water day. Okay. Which is good on those warm days. Yep, definitely. And we have roasted corn day for free, and one of our local vendors brings the corn in, and that sounds awesome. We put it on the grill, and it's a fun event. Why is it nice that every city does this? I think it's great for communities. It not only does it get these local growers out to sell their goods, but it gets the community out and maybe spark some conversations within the community of these people. Okay. Do you think the future is bright for this type of event, and do you see any more interest in it more and more? I do see a bright future in this. The vendors really enjoy it. I know the community enjoys it, and it's a good thing. And you get a good turnout. And we get a good turnout. Awesome. And when we get 17 vendors here, it's a good day. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you. And we are going to introduce you to some of the vendors at the farmers market. A lot of these people make the rounds and go to several farmers markets in our area. Let's meet some of these local producers.
I just enjoy bringing in fresh food to people, especially in markets where I know it's a little bit more difficult for them to get at that fresh food. I just enjoy meeting the people, and I'm really thrilled, especially at Champlin, to see the number of young kids that are coming in here with their parents. It's quite an experience for them, plus they get to see the good new fresh produce that's available. Hopefully they're eating it too.
I think it's great. I started 10 years ago and you hardly heard about it. Now it's been in the news and with all the publicity, and people are interested in it, and it's been great. Yeah, I think it's good.
I do barbecue sauce and chicken wing sauce. They're all natural, no salt, no high fructose corn syrup, so they're as healthy as they can be. My trifold flyer I have and online has a lot of recipes. There's a really good pasta chicken, salad, pizza, dip, meatloaf, and you can interchange any of the sauces, but most of them are geared for the Ghostly Goodness sauce. BaronsBarbecueSauce.com, and you'll be able to find all the information there. It has product descriptions, recipes, store locations.
I love the farmers markets. I would just love the different people. You get to talk to people, interact with a bunch of different people, and tell them how good our bread is. We have a monster cookie every day, which is a oat peanut butter base with M&Ms, chocolate chips, and butterscotch chips, and it's actually my favorite cookie as well. So even though it's gluten-free, it's still really good. And we also have a gluten-free bread on Tuesdays. Our store is in Maple Grove on 94 in Weaver Lake, right by the JCPenney, and every Tuesday we make it. So we have you can call ahead of time to reserve a loaf, or just go in. Usually we have some every Tuesday.
We have a lot of stuff. We have zucchini, cabbage, lettuce, cucumber, peas, beans. Corn is coming, tomatoes is coming, some other squash is coming.
Because we're not always at home, you may find yourself at a market near you. Andover's Farmers Market is on Tuesday from 2 to 6, and they're located at 13655 Round Lake Boulevard. Anoka has their market on Thursdays from 2 to 5 at 420 East Main Street. Champlin's Farmers Market is on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Ice Arena. Coon Rapids has their market on Wednesdays also, from 3 to 6 p.m., and their location is 1555 Northwest 118th Lane. If you are in Elk River on Tuesday, from 2 to 6, you will find their market at 716 Main Street. Now Then has their market on Thursdays from 3 to 7, and theirs is located between 199th Street and the park entrance. Maple Grove has a big market on Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m., located at 12951 Weaver Lake Road. And finally, if you want to experience a large farmers market and you find yourself in the Twin Cities, St. Paul has their market at 290 East 5th Street on Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And in Minneapolis, you can go every day from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and they're located at 312 East Lyndale Avenue. Well, we hope you enjoyed our live production of Fresh and Local from the Farmers Market. It was a lot of fun putting it together, wasn't it, Jason?
Oh, I had a wonderful time. It was great to meet everybody. It's fun to be such a fun part of a fun team here at QCTV. I'm learning a lot.
Very good,
Yep.
very good.
Great
Well, I want to
people.
thank everybody who helped put this together, all of our guests. They did a great job. And I especially want to thank Zimmerman Home and Garden because they
Yes.
decorated our beautiful sets and they look just fantastic. We also want to thank you for watching QCTV, and we want you to keep watching because we have a lot of great programming coming up this summer and this fall. We're going to be doing lots of community programming. We're going to be working with the League of Women Voters. We're going to be
Cool.
doing some election coverage, and you can tune to here to find out through the League of Women Voter forums on who to vote for. We have a great fall sports schedule planned for you, and our goal is to get lots of people on our channels here at QCTV. So again, thanks for watching QCTV.
Thank you.